Hello, everybody! Welcome to a Sunday Funday, actually including the beautiful Maggie Poo. Yeah, sorry, last week was kind of weird, like I explained in the entire video. But of course, we are here to talk about arguably probably one of the most divisive Star Wars movies since technically the last episode movie, which was The Last Jedi. We originally gave our review 2 years ago now? Oh God, it's been that long since. Yeah, it's been nearly 2 years since we watched The Last Jedi. And honestly, I think The Last Jedi might have failed a little bit more in my eyes, especially after watching this film. I will try to get into it more here in a bit. Simply because I am the big Star Wars nerd out of us both. She is more of a Trekkie, though she does enjoy Star Wars. Like most good not Star Trek, I was about to say sci-fi fans. And also Megan's still got some kind of lingering cough. So, sorry, we'll try to cut that out if we can help it.
I'll try to keep it to a minimum.
But since Megan is less of the Star Wars nut that I am going to let Megan lead us off with her opinions about Star Wars. Yeah. Rise of the Skywalker.
The Force will be with you.
Always. You always start out with me like, I am still processing.
Always processing. I process movies like years afterwards. I'm introspective, strangely, when it comes to films.
It's like I'm still digesting the flavors of...
Well, the flavors you have digested, what did you enjoy? Or what did you not enjoy?
Well, I must say, I don't see that hate. I was like, what? I mean, yeah, it totally didn't go where I was thinking it was going to go, but it's like, okay, like, the reveal is like, okay, I'm totally fine with Rey's lineage.
Yeah, the movie, for the most part, it's very much a finale. It's meant to be a ode to Star Wars, both new and old. There's cameos galore, there's little moments here and there.
And there's voices from James Earl Jones, Samuel Jackson at one point.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor does a voice, and even Qui-Gon Jinn pops back up.
Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
And apparently Freddie Prinze Jr., who did a voice in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
Like,
so, because of that, this is meant to be more of... The best way to put it is it's meant to say, here is a farewell to Star Wars. It's meant to be the end of an era, for lack of the best way to put it.
I mean, there might still be, like, spin-offs and...
Oh yeah, like The Mandalorian, of course, and there's obviously going to be new Star Wars shows. It's going to be the end of the movies for just, I would say, at least maybe 10 to 15 years.
Oh, there might be a sequel to... What was it, Solo?
No, there's not going to be a sequel to Solo, except for a television version on Disney+.
Ah. I was like, you gotta explain.
I'll talk about Darth Maul.
I was like, huh? Okay.
They actually explain that in the Clone Wars series, and it talks about that. Just that also doesn't exactly explain how he's all the way through to Solo. But that's a minor issue. Now, early on, I'm going to try and say that we're going to try to keep the review as spoiler-free if we can help it. There is some bits we're going to have to talk about. And I hate to start negative, but I'm going to talk about one negative I have, and I think anybody who's a bit of a person who watches a lot of films might notice. The movie's edited funky. That's the minorest kind of issue that I see very early on. Like, the first bit of the movie is edited really awkwardly. It's not, like, terrible by any stretch of imagination. It's nowhere near as bad as the Resident Evil piece of shit that came out, like, 2 years ago. Oh, God, I couldn't even tell you what happened in the first 15 minutes. All I know is there's about 70,000 quick edits. But here, it's just some of the cuts are just a little too choppy at points. That's a slight negative. But it's not enough that I'm going to sit here and say, this is the worst film ever. And honestly,
It's just more of a nitpick.
yeah, I will fully admit, it's more of a nitpick as just a person who watches a lot of films. Those who are, hardcore just Star Wars fans, but not much movie fans in the way of saying, they're not going to notice as much, and I'll fully admit that. But beyond all that, I will say it's like, I don't know what people were expecting that they're hating about this movie. Sure, it doesn't exactly follow through with, oh, well, it's going to do exactly this, or it's going to follow all of what The Last Jedi did. Which, just going to admit, The Last Jedi was going to always be a hard movie to follow because, let's just be honest, it's a very one-note kind of pointless movie. And I think that's the worst part about 9 needing to be 9. Like, this needed a stronger 8 to come off of. And I think that's the only issue it has. It feels like 8 was supposed to tell us what the scroll tells us at the beginning, that the Emperor has sent out a message across the universe. And it's like, one was like, whoa, when the hell did that happen? And instead it's just, okay, well, the First Order took out a few ships and the Resistance thing fought. But again, that's more of a weakness because of The Last Jedi, not because of Rise of Skywalker. I know people really want to sit there and try and proclaim that The Last Jedi... Sorry, this review might be a redux of The Last Jedi in the fashion, at least for me. But I know a lot of people are like, well, it was so... It subverted the idea that you were thinking with a Star Wars movie. Yeah, because with Star Wars movies, I want them to have a story. Last Jedi gave me nothing. And that's just the biggest issue with The Last Jedi. It gave me a lot of cool effects, some decent character moments.
Old Man Luke.
Yeah, Old Man Luke, which is one of the most awesome things ever. But as a story, it pushed nothing forward. It pretty much ground the entire your story elements that we're trying to move forward. We're trying to get, this actual big narrative across. It moved it like 3 pages forward out of a 7,000 volume book. I don't know how to put this. I'm kind of sputtering. Yeah, it's sort of like you're reading this. Yeah, The Force Awakens, like that's a full novel. Then you got The Last Jedi, which was 2 pages. And then you have The Rise of Skywalker, which is another full novel with a little bit more. And it feels like there was something missing from those 2 pages that really should have been given. And that's more of a critique of The Last Jedi. And that slightly spills into the first, I'd say, like 20 minutes of Rise of Skywalker. There is some stuff where if you don't know exactly what has gone on in between the movies, you're going to be a little lost. Yeah, but again, that's because Last Jedi kind of is not as good as it wants to pretend it is. But
we both enjoyed Last Jedi.
I enjoyed it, but the more I've watched more of the other stuff, and also watching it again, it's worse than Phantom Menace. I should fully admit it. It almost
blasphemy.
It almost makes Jar Jar good. That's sad.
Bite your tongue. That piece of shit can go drown in a well.
Oh no, he gave all the powers to the Emperor. Remember? Yeah, Jar Jar kind of stupid. Me's gonna give all the powers to my one and only apprentice. Sorry, I just love the idea that Jar Jar was evil. And here's the one thing I will fully I'm gonna have a small little nerd issue with people. People really seem to have issues with the fact that the old characters are still in this. Like, you still have Luke, you, of course, still have Leia. Yeah, fashion. I'll fully admit, it's like, if you were thinking that they're going to have much in the way of Carrie Fisher, she's in about 3 scenes.
Yeah.
And some of them are kind of piss poor CGI. It's like...
Yeah, it's just someone that looks vaguely like Carrie Fisher, kind of in shadow, that sounds like Carrie Fisher. I mean, it might be her voice, but on screen, I'm pretty sure it's not her.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, let's just have her. Because to kind of spoil a little bit, Leia dies in this.
Yeah.
To kind of compensate for the fact that that Carrie Fisher did pass away.
Yeah. But, pardon me. But yeah, that's fine with me. It's like, we have to let the characters move on. But this whole trilogy, Last Jedi not fully withstanding, it's been about the one major character that we keep following the most. Right. And that's actually an interesting...
Yeah, the new Luke.
In a fashion. I don't think her too much as a Luke, but... Because she doesn't seem to want to train as much. Like, not to say this. She doesn't want to train other people. She seems to want to know what her place is throughout the entire universe. And that's one that can almost be looked at as very, introspective in ways that, hey, that's interesting to think about.
I'm just talking about, like, Luke in the original trilogy, finding his origins and finding his place in the world, or universe, I'd say.
Not as much there, because it seemed like Luke knew what his place was. He kept pointing to... He was a Disney princess. For lack of a better way to put it, Luke wanted more, show me more. And that's what Luke kind of was to me. And I accept it for what it is.
The hell am I married?
Okay, he was a Disney prince. Does that make you feel better?
We just conjured up images of James Marsden. Yeah. James Marsden in Enchanted.
Not too far off. But, yeah, it's like this... Rey has some similarities to Luke, but they're tenuous at best. Trying to say, oh, this is totally ripping off New Hope whenever people talk about Force Awakens. Oh my god, people, shut up. Y'all are so full of shit. Because here's one thing. Y'all still watched it in droves, obviously. It became the second highest grossing movie at the time because y'all all watched the living fuck out of it. Because it's so much like No Hope. That makes it terrible. No, trust me, the writing's leagues better, the acting's leagues better, the action is fucking fantastic in Force Awakens. And trust me, there's, at best, minor similarities. Sorry, I have had that issue with people who always want to rail against Force Awakens, and it just grinds my gears. But here, like I said, it's like, this has always been a Rey-centered storyline. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of the reason why, again, to talk about Last Jedi, why I have issues with it. Rose adds nothing to the entire film, and even though I really love Finn, like, I love his character, it just, he doesn't, there's things
not really much for him to do.
Yeah. And in this movie, they give him a little bit more to do. There's hints at different things, but they never go all the way, which kind of pissed me off a little, but it's not like one was like, worst movie ever, like stupid nerds like to do. Mm-hmm. But more just one was like, missed opportunity. But the more I kind of look at it, because this is Rey's story, it makes sense to me. It's like, okay, I get why. I'm not as upset with the fact that, he, doesn't get to have as much character development as Rey. Again, it's like, this is supposed to be about Rey. Yeah. And they actually do something with all of it. That is one of the big things. Like, with all this character development, it leads somewhere.
Getting back to you talking about people complaining about old characters coming back, like, how can you get upset about that? I mean, I'm not even that big a Star Wars nerd, but I thought it was neat, having, Luke and Leia and in a manner speaking, Yoda and Vader and
Han Solo, if you go by Force Awakens. And also, fully will admit, he appears in this one. Of course, he's talking to Kylo. I'm not going to explain why, but I will just say this much: I bawled the entire time. I was like, damn it, movie. You found that one thing. He's like, hey, did you still have a heart from Endgame?
And Lando and Chewie and And
just everybody. It's
bringing back all the old characters and all the new characters that we've been introduced to in recent years. And it's like everybody's coming together to fight this big fight to finally put an end to all this.
put it into the Sith, and that's actually the basic idea of the entire movie is to defeat the Sith. And damn it, it's damn good. It's the best way to describe the movie, if you want to pare it down to its most minor plot or most major plot points and be very vague about it, is it's a treasure movie, a treasure hunt. They're hunting for the MacGuffin, so it can lead them to the other MacGuffin that'll lead to another thing. And I know people might say, well, that sounds stupid. That's the dumbest plot ever. Rope 1 star. Sorry, I hate to make fun of people on the internet. I am one. But if you break a movie down to that, yeah, of course it's going to sound very simplistic. But there's a lot more to it. One, there's actually great character development. There is actually good character development for Poe, unlike with Last Jedi. It's like, hey, is this your character? Boom, shovel. There is character development for Finn. Of course, there's character development for Rey. There's character development for Kylo. There's character development for the Emperor, because yes, as he is there again. Thanks, the trailer kind of spoiled it, but I'm not going to explain the capacity in which he's there or why. Because even then, that's one of those moments where, even for me as a Star Wars nerd, I'm going, some of this isn't making a lot of sense, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, they don't even really explain it, I think. I mean, I think they kind of maybe hint at it, but it's left very vague. It's like, okay, pay no attention to this, just, focus on this.
Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain.
Very much.
Yeah. I think there's like a throwaway line that kind of explains it, but it's never fully explained still. But that's okay. It's Star Wars. Who explained Darth Maul? But it's one of those things where, because of it, I would like if they did like a little spin-off series that kind of maybe explained it. Not a spin-off series in terms of movies, but like if they did like a Mandalorian kind of thing, explain it. That's not going to be a bad thing to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing that this movie actually does well. Any still questions or anything it brings up, it gives you with a sense of wonderment. But it still gives a finality to the entire series, so that way, if they wanted to do an episode 10, they could without it having to really be as super connected as Force Awakens was. See, and even then, Force Awakens was the best continuously connected. Until you start bringing in the newer characters, or the old characters. And I like that. I like the fact that we actually got some closure, is the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I think a lot of people don't want to admit. They don't want to admit that this is trying to be a closure to this tale. And it's like, it's okay, it's a closure to this tale. Because we still have all these other stories we can talk about with other characters that don't have to involve the Skywalker clan. It doesn't have to involve the Emperor in any way. It doesn't have to involve high politics. Because, dear God, I don't need that from the second and first one again.
So, I was like, that's a big reason why I blocked that one out of my memory. Like,
it is not as pointless as the entire casino scene from Last Jedi. Sorry, this movie's
but at
got
least
to
the
be really...
casino scene was somewhat interesting.
Except for when you realize it held no purpose the entire movie.
It may not held as much purpose as the politics in episode 2, but at least it's way more interesting than whatever bullshit was going on in episode 2.
No. The most boring thing in episode 2 was Mr. I don't like sand. Let's fully admit that the most boring part was Hayden Christensen's creeping on Padme. That was boring, but it was kind of like watching your best friend hitting on their like best crush that they've had for a while, and their crush actually is kind of almost into it until you realize they're just saying the lamest things ever. Your hair smells nice. And you're like, oh, it's so painful to watch.
Yeah, let's not get started on the whole Anakin Padme creepy ass relationship.
Yeah, The worst thing still is from the first movie. Whenever Padme kind of looks at him like, "I'm gonna ride your dick," when she looks at that like little 8-year-old kid, it's like, God, it's so creepy. Stop it! Stop giving him that look. It's like, I want to wash. I need to wash in acid.
Yeah, like you knew him when he was a little kid. Like,
Yeah, it's weird, y'all. I don't care what anybody wants to say. But hey, we're going to talk about something far less creepy. We're just going to keep talking about Rise of Skywalker. Actually, I don't know how much else I want to say. Well, was there, like, any issues you majorly had with the film?
no, I mean, I'm still kind of like marinating in it. Just kind of like as far as I know. I mean, even some of the newer characters they introduced, even in this movie, I didn't mind.
Yeah, I like that they gave a bit of more of a backstory to characters that we already kind of know a little bit, and also they gave a little bit more clarity on certain things. Mm-hmm. Again, it feels like some of this was supposed to have been brought up in episode 8. But because Rian Johnson wanted to do his own thing, we ended up getting a film that kind of ignored a lot of stuff. It's so bad because, I'm not saying that, like I said, The Last Jedi might be the worst now, the more I think about it. But it's just the issue, the fact that there was a lot of potential. And it's not that, Rian Johnson had to do this, but he has obviously great directorial eye. He can look at an image like, here's how we should shoot this scene. Here's how this should work. He knows how to be able to get the most out of his actors. His writing sometimes can be really, really, really lame at times. And kind of really, really boring. Even though I like at least 3 of his movies that he's done. He's done 3 movies. I'm contrary.
I know Knives Out has been one of them.
Looper and, of course, Last Jedi. Yeah, I don't know if I want to say much more, because that's just one of the things I've kind of noticed. That this movie's not gaining as much hype as people were thinking, and that's kind of sad to me. This is the last Star Wars movie we're going to be getting, and I'm telling y'all, for at least a decade. Minimum.
And then they're going to reboot it.
They're not going to reboot it, because Disney's not much of one reboot, especially this kind of a series. They're probably just going to go to a different area of things.
Well, I said reboot, but I meant remake.
And they're not going to remake it either. They're going to just...
Don't want to piss off that many fans.
Do what?
They don't want to piss off that many fans.
Yeah, that... I'm about to say, do I need to remind you about all the stupidity people have? Like, Force Awakens is a new hope. I'm sorry, that's always going to be my way of making fun of the morons there. But... go see this. This is what I'm just going to say very early on. This is actually a fantastic Star Wars movie. You have high-flying action at times. There is some...
good character moments.
Yes, there's great character moments, I'd even say. There is genuine heart to the entire film and the entire way in how this does things. It might be a bit long in the tooth at times. Like, there are some scenes that drag on just a smidge too long. But even then, it's more nitpicky feeling than it's like, worst movie ever. Like, fuckheads will always say. Hell, I'm kind of like, more towards Last Jedi. I still don't think it's the worst movie of all time. Trust me, it's not as bad as The Room. Hell, it's not even Battlefield Earth levels of bad. And also, we gotta admit that the porgs are just goddamn adorable.
Yeah, and brought back the porgs and Ewoks and...
there's everything in this.
And a couple new cute characters, including new droid. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my god. Voiced by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
And, damn it, it's... those who want to hate on this movie must be those who want to enforce their viewpoints on how this entire world needs to be, whenever it's like, this is...
it's like, if you have a particular vision in mind for this beloved franchise that you've maybe grown up with, it's like, that's what fanfiction is for.
Yeah, and on top of that, but that's what all these kind of different books have been written about Star Wars are for. You can write your own. Feel free. I will read them. I don't mind. And there's plenty of great.
Not big of a nerd.
There are plenty of great Star Wars stories that can be told, and that's the one thing that this doesn't do. That it's such a great thing that I will say that to make sense of what I'm trying to say. It doesn't say that there can be no more stories, but it is just saying this is the end of this story, and that's
It's just the end of one chapter. Not closing the book entirely on it, but just saying, like, okay, this is the end of the Skywalker era. This is the end of, these trilogy films. No more story to be told from these particular films. And, that's fine. And like you said, like, we got closure.
Yeah, it's actually didn't feel like, oh, we're...
Like a season finale of a show that turned out to be the series finale and you have no closure for anything. It's like, well, the hell.
Yeah, this felt like this is a season finale that they knew started the season's like, all right, this is going to... Or a series finale. It felt like at the start of the season, they knew this was going to be the final season. So they're like, you know what? We're going to go all out. We're going to
go out with a bang.
Yeah, we're going to try and tie up as many loose ends as we can. If you want to pick on the movie about that, yeah, it's sometimes got a lot of plot it's got to give you. But again...
And incorporate a lot of characters and a lot of little storylines.
But again, it's one of those movies that it's kind of have to because The Last Jedi left it with such a heavy burden. Last Jedi just didn't do any of that, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I will say Last Jedi, as much as I did enjoy it, it did kind of piddle around with, emo Kylo Ren and the whole very unsatisfying reveal of Rey's parents. Like,
yeah, and this movie's like, I do like this movie's like, no, that was stupid.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like backtracking, but at the same time, not. I don't want to give it away.
I will also say one thing that was kind of, I think somebody stuck it in the script because it was actually legitimately funny. Mm-hmm. And it was actually the, as they called it, the Holdo maneuver where she warp speed through all those ships. Mm-hmm. And also one person even says like, well, why don't we just do that? And the guy's like, are you kidding? All these ships, we're not going to go very far. Or it's like, it's a 1 in a million things that you have to hope everything lines up that way. It's like, all right, thank you for finally dealing with that thing. That whole bit of a plot contrivance. Because, all right.
Yeah, that's another thing that pissed me off about Last Jedi. Is like, why couldn't you have trusted somebody with your plan? Like, okay, just say, trust me, I have a plan. I have, everybody's best interest. I will take care of y'all. Just trust me. Or maybe...
Take a side like the top people who you know are having the most issues and say, it's like, hey, okay, here's the thing. Here's my plan, blah, 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 blah. The reason why I'm not telling everybody is because we think that there might be spies. Boom. You don't have to actually touch on the spy issue ever again. It's just brought up and it's a possibility, so that way there is the backup plan, the reason why they're going to the stupid casino thing. And it's so stupid when you look at it.
Yeah, another thing I just remembered, the spy storyline here.
Oh, yeah.
Almost unnecessary. I will say, like, yeah, that was one thing I didn't care for.
It's to give an ending for that character. That's all it is.
Yeah, just because of the resolution of it, and it's like, okay, well, that was all for nothing.
Yeah. But it's not as bad as the resolution of the fucking going to a casino and spending 20 minutes on that.
And then, like, you don't find who you're looking for anyway.
Just find some more schmo.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that didn't have a purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry. I keep talking about Last Jedi because there's some problems it really has.
Well, to be fair, I think a lot of Rise of Skywalker was trying to fix some of the issues with Last Jedi.
Yeah. It's one of the issues of having a movie that's just so, for lack of a better way, like I was putting it, it forwards nothing. And that's the biggest problem with The Last Jedi. And the biggest thing is that Snoke gets killed and Kylo takes over the First Order.
And we get old man Luke.
Well, what I mean in terms of
Yeah, I know.
story-wise, like other
I
than that,
know.
there's nothing to the movie. It's like, okay, so what else happens in this movie? Nothing. It's like, well, at least with Empire, you know, the rebels are scattered to the wind, and also Luke is heavily, you know, injured, and Han gets kidnapped. Like, people really want to compare Last Jedi Empire Strikes Back. It's like, it's kind of like the Clone Wars animated series that came out before the great CGI animated version. It's kind of pointless. It's sad to say that. But hey, go see Rise of Skywalker. It's actually a fantastic movie.
So, final scores.
I will let you give your final score first.
Yeah, I can't quite bring myself to give this a perfect 10, but it was still really awesome. I didn't even 9.
I'm not going to give it a 10 either because of some of the messy issues, but again, I don't hold that 100% against the movie, mostly just because of Last Jedi. I just gave it a weak handoff. It's for my, like, Force Awakens did a third of the baton race. Last Jedi did 2 inches of it. And then, here you go, here's your baton. Rise of Skywalker's like, well, I have my work cut out for me. It's a 9, though. It's still a fantastic movie. You're going to love the action. You're going to love the characters. And on top of everything, you're going to enjoy that there's actually resolution for things. Mm-hmm. It's almost a bittersweet in the fact that, okay, it is done, but it's not done poorly. That is the best thing. It's like, this did it very, very, very fantastically.
Yeah, I like that. I didn't give too much away. Like, it pretty much ends where it kind of all began.
Yeah, it does. And it's actually kind of a very sweet moment, I think.
I think.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, that's awesome. It's glad that, you know, we had a writer who seemed to care about Star Wars. You know, instead of whatever the fuck they wanted to do. But hey, that's Rise of Skywalker. Like I said, go see it. Give it extra more money. This movie's actually fantastic. And that's the thing. If we tell Disney, oh, we don't want it to end, we're gonna just get more and more mediocre sequels. So I would much rather, you know, have some fantastic series to kind of bridge this, and then eventually we get into more episodes, and then maybe have a spin-off movie or two.
Yeah, it's like, have it go out with a bang. You know, don't let it limp across the finish line. Just
Yeah, which...
fall flat on its butt, on its face. Something.
Yeah, we need to remind you what the Hobbit trilogy became at the end of that. Holy shit, was that movie fucking atrocious. And you want to know who agrees with us? Peter Jackson. Even the director's like, this movie's bad, y'all. It's bad. But hey, that is Rise of the Skywalker. Or Skywalker. I'm going to keep calling it the Skywalker. And I'm just going to let y'all know, next week is probably going to be something a little painful, I'll fully admit, because there's very little chance that we're actually going to be able to see 1917, because showtimes for it are just absolutely fucking atrocious already. I will try to possibly go see it myself, just because it actually looks like a damn good World War I movie, and that's the thing, we just don't get those. That's the one thing.
Good reason.
No, but see, here's the thing you don't get. It's the same reason why I was pushing Mortal Engines. I don't care about Mortal Engines plot issues. I don't care about its weaknesses. But if we don't... But that's the thing. Otherwise, I'm going to get the same gritty DCEU movies that are really, really the same shit over and over again. Or I'm going to get balls-to-the-wall modern action movies, which I like, but I want some difference. When I'm going to get PG fucking 13 horror movies. I want there to be some difference out in the world. If our war
They
movies...
tired of steak and burgers, you want some chicken?
I need some fish. And that's the thing. It's like, I love World War II, but I want us to be able to branch out and say, it's like, here is a mature and realistic way of portraying a war. Or more importantly, a war we just don't talk about, because to us Americans, it's very, very way off. Because we're barely in World War One. I want to see a World War One movie that's actually good. I don't know if it's going to be good. It might be terrible for all I know, but it can't be worse than what we're going to see. And technically it's going to be a re-release of it. And that, of course, is the abortion called Cats. Yeah, next week we're going to watch the re-release of it just because I've been hearing about it and I'm like, I gotta see the train wreck now because it's going to be bad. The songs from the original were horrible.
Yeah, I was like, I love musicals, I love Cats, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But it's like, as bad as CGI looks, I am like just deathly curious about it.
It's going to be terrible. But I will watch it with popcorn.
Those would be like Michael Jackson in the comment section.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, just less diddling kids.
You had to take it there, didn't you?
Oh, of course. Michael Jackson took it there. He took his penis into kids.
What am I gonna do with you?
Love me.
I'll think about it.
So, yeah, there might be 2 reviews next week. There might be a dozen reviews if I decide to get randy about it. Because I'm off till Thursday, so I got
at least Thursday.
Yeah, I got a little while to watch some movies. But also, after next week, we will try to get out to you our best and worst of 2019. I know, 2018 has not been put up at the time of this video going up. I'm sorry. I will put up a video or part that's going to be right in front of the best of 2018, and I will explain. But hey, until then, y'all, we will see you back. So until then, may the Force be with you. I stole her line.
No, just a stupid one. Bye-bye.